Here's a puzzle that makes zero financial sense until you look beneath the surface. You open a travel website, you find a 7-day Caribbean cruise for $499. Think about what that $499 gets you. An ocean view cabin for 7 nights, 3 meals a day, plus unlimited soft-serve ice cream, midnight buffets and steak dinners. Access to water parks, adult lounges, fitness centers and live Broadway-style shows. That breaks down to $71 a day for food, lodging, entertainment and transportation across the ocean. You couldn't stay in a mid-tier hotel in Cleveland for $71 a night, let alone eat steak and watch a musical. So your first thought is, how do cruise lines make any money? And if you decided to build your own cruise line, let's call it Ocean Velocity, your second thought might be, if I charge $500 a ticket, I'm going to be rich. We'll pull up a chair to the CEO desk. Because here is the first secret of the cruise industry. If every single passenger on your ship paid that $499 ticket and didn't spend another dime, your cruise line would be bankrupt in under 6 months. Let me explain. Running a cruise ship isn't like running a hotel. A hotel doesn't burn 200 tons of fuel every day just staying in place. A hotel doesn't have a crew of 2,000 people living inside it full-time. A hotel doesn't pay $100,000 every time it parks. When you add up fuel, food provisions, crew payroll, port charges, insurance, and the mortgage on the ship itself, it costs roughly $120 to $140 per passenger per day just to operate a modern megaship. At $71 a day, you're losing $50 on every single passenger who steps onto your boat. So why do cruise lines happily sell you that $499 ticket? Because that ticket isn't a vacation package. It's bait. Welcome to layer 1 of the cruise ship business model, the ticket Mirage. The cruise line doesn't view your ticket as their profit. They view your ticket as a low-cost admission fee to get you inside their building. And that building is not a boat. It's a floating tax-exempt shopping mall trapped in the middle of the ocean. Which brings us to layer 2, the captive ocean mall. The moment your ship unties from the dock and sails 12 miles out to sea, something magical happens. You enter international waters. And in international waters, you have zero outside competition. There are no convenience stores, no local bars, no third-party restaurants, no cell phone towers. If a passenger wants a cocktail, a snack, a spa treatment, or a way to text their kids, they have to buy it from you. And this is where the real business begins. Take the drink package. On paper, charging $80 a day per person for unlimited cocktails and specialty coffee sounds like a nice perk, but the gross profit margin on alcohol and fountain sodas, over 80%. A couple spending $80 a day each just handed you $1,120 for the week for liquid that cost you maybe $150. Then there's the casino. Once you're 12 miles off the coast, state gaming regulations vanish. Slot machines on cruise ships don't have to report their payout percentages to state gaming boards. The house edge is higher, the lights are bright, and the casino is one of the single highest margin rooms on the entire vessel. Add in $25 a day Wi-Fi packages, $50 specialty steakhouse upcharges, duty-free retail shops, professional photo packages, and $150 shore excursions where you take a 50% commission cut just for booking a local tour operator. And the math completely flips. That passenger who bought a $499 ticket, by the end of the week, their final credit card bill is $1,400. Onboard spending accounts for roughly 35% of a cruise line's total revenue. But it generates over 70% of their net profit. The ticket pays the utility bills. The onboard spending is where the CEO gets rich. But getting passengers to spend money is only half the battle. The other half is keeping the money you make. And that leads to layer 3, the offshore legal machine. If you look at the corporate headquarters of Carnival, Royal Caribbean or Norwegian Cruise Line, they're all located in sunny Miami, Florida. Big glass towers, executive boardrooms, American executives. Now look at the back of their ships. On the stern of almost every major cruise ship sailing out of Miami, you'll see a foreign flag flying. The Bahamas, Panama, Liberia, Bermuda. Over 90% of global cruise ships operating in the US are registered in foreign countries. Why? 2 words: taxes and labor. Under Section 883 of the US Internal Revenue Code, foreign flagged ships operating international routes are exempt from US corporate federal income tax. That means cruise lines making billions of dollars in profit pay an effective corporate tax rate of just 1% to 2%. If they registered their ships in the US, they'd be paying 21%. That single legal loophole saves the industry hundreds of millions of dollars every single year. And then there's labor. Operating under a foreign flag means cruise lines don't have to obey US minimum wage laws, overtime mandates, or union rules. They recruit crew members from the Philippines, Indonesia, India, and Eastern Europe. These workers sign 8 to 10-month contracts, working 70 to 80 hours a week, 7 days a week, with 0 days off. It sounds brutal, and it is. But for many crew members, the money they send home to their families is life-changing. And for the cruise line, it keeps labour costs 60% lower than operating under US labour laws. So now you've got the ticket bait, the onboard cash machine, and the tax loophole. But there was still one giant leak in the business model. When a ship docked in Nassau or Cozumel, passengers walked off the boat and spent their money at local bars, local restaurants, and local tour shops. The cruise line was losing control of the wallet, which brings us to layer 4, the private island monopoly. In 2019, Royal Caribbean spent $250 million transforming a quiet Bahamian island into a perfect day at CocoCay. They built massive water slides, freshwater pools, private overwater cabanas, and beach bars. Why spend $250 million on a tiny island? Because when 6,000 passengers step off the ship onto CocoCay, they aren't entering a foreign country. They're entering a private Royal Caribbean theme park. There are no local vendors, no third-party tour operators taking a cut, no local port taxes to split. Every drink, every hamburger, every $100 water park ticket, and every $2,000 a day private cabana rental goes 100% directly to Royal Caribbean. CocoCay is estimated to generate around $600 million a year in high-margin revenue. The $250 million investment paid for itself in less than 2 years. Disney did it with Castaway Cay. Carnival is doing it with Celebration Key. Private islands plug the last leak in the ecosystem. And finally, layer 5, economies of scale. If you're going to build a modern cruise ship today, you don't build a small one, you build a monster. In 2024, Royal Caribbean launched Icon of the Seas. It cost $2.0 billion to build at a specialized shipyard in Finland. It weighs 250,000 gross tons. It holds 7,600 passengers and 2,350 crew members. That's nearly 10,000 people living on one vessel. Why spend $2 billion on a ship that big? Because a ship that holds 7,600 passengers doesn't cost twice as much to run as a ship that holds 3,800. You still only need one captain, one chief engineer, one navigation team. The fuel consumption per passenger drops by 30%. By building massive floating cities, cruise lines crush their cost per available berth while maximizing the number of people swiping cards in the casino and at the bar. Today, 3 massive conglomerates, Carnival, Royal Caribbean, and Norwegian, control over 85% of the entire global cruise market. In 2025, over 35 million passengers will board their ships. Even when hit by catastrophic events, like the 2012 Costa Concordia disaster that cost over $2 billion, or the 2020 pandemic that grounded fleets and piled $60 billion in debt onto the industry, the model proved indestructible. As soon as ports reopened, passengers flooded back in record numbers. Because, at the end of the day, the cruise business has mastered a formula that no land-based resort can touch. They sell you a cheap ticket to get you on board. They entertain you in a tax-free ocean mall. They run under foreign legal flags to keep costs microscopic. And they drop you off on their own private islands so you never spend $1 anywhere else. A cruise ship isn't a transportation company, it's a floating, tax-exempt vacation monopoly that happens to float on water. If this changed how you see the cruise industry, hit subscribe. Every week we put you in the CEO chair of a different business and show you how the world really works. Drop your vote in the comments. I'll see you in the CEO chair.